Welcome to Lost Mythical Worlds Explained, where ancient legends come alive. In this video, we dive deep into the mysteries of Atlantis, Lemuria, and other forgotten realms that have puzzled historians, mystics, and explorers for centuries. Were these lost civilizations real or just myth? From sunken continents to spiritual utopias, we'll uncover the stories, theories, and secrets behind these legendary lands. Join us on a journey through time, mystery, and myth as we explore the hidden truths buried beneath the waves and within ancient lore. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and let's begin the quest. Throughout history, cultures around the world have told stories of ancient, vanished civilizations, golden ages lost to time and catastrophe. These mythical worlds, though never proven to exist in any physical sense, continue to grip the imagination. They appear in folklore, spiritual teachings, occult texts, and even pseudoscientific theories. Among the most famous are Atlantis, Lemuria, and a host of lesser-known realms like Shambhala, Mu, and Hyperborea. Whether symbolic metaphors, distorted memories of real events, or tantalizing glimpses into ancient truths, these stories have become immortal. In this in-depth exploration, we unpack the myths, the theories, and the cultural impact of three major lost worlds: Atlantis, Lemuria, and other forgotten realms. Prepare to journey beyond the veil of history. Atlantis, the sunken empire of Plato. Origin of the myth. The legend of Atlantis begins with the Greek philosopher Plato, who mentioned it in two of his dialogues, Timaeus and Critias, written around 360 BCE. According to Plato, Atlantis was a powerful island civilization beyond the Pillars of Heracles, what we now call the Strait of Gibraltar. It was wealthy, technologically advanced, and militarily mighty. But its people grew greedy and corrupt, angering the gods. In a single day and night of misfortune, Atlantis sank into the sea. Historical possibilities. Plato claimed Atlantis existed 9,000 years before his time, though scholars debate whether he meant this literally. Some believe he invented the story as an allegory for political and moral decay in Athens. Others suggest Atlantis might have been inspired by real ancient cities, such as Minoan Crete and Thera. Santorini, the Minoan civilization, known for its impressive palaces and advanced culture, was devastated by a massive volcanic eruption around 1600 BCE. This aligns with elements of Atlantis' sudden destruction. Tartessos, Spain, a wealthy Bronze Age culture in southern Iberia that mysteriously disappeared and has been considered a potential inspiration. Modern theories and influence. Since the 19th century, Atlantis has evolved beyond Plato's vision. Writers like Ignatius Donnelly popularized the idea of Atlantis as the cradle of all ancient civilization, suggesting Atlanteans influenced Egypt, Mesopotamia, and the Americas. Esoteric schools like Theosophy and New Age movements claim Atlantis was home to spiritually advanced beings or alien hybrids with psychic abilities. Even today, Atlantis shows up in books, documentaries, video games, and conspiracy theories. Though no evidence confirms its existence, it remains the archetype of a lost utopia. Lemuria, the continent that science built and myth claimed. Origin of the concept. Lemuria began as a scientific hypothesis, not a myth. In the 19th century, zoologists noticed similarities between lemur fossils in India, Madagascar, and Southeast Asia. Since continental drift wasn't yet accepted, scientists speculated that a now sunken landmass, Lemuria, had once connected these areas, allowing species to migrate. From science to spirituality. While science moved on, accepting plate tectonics and dismissing Lemuria, spiritualists and occult thinkers embraced the idea. The Theosophical Society, led by Helena Blavatsky, expanded the idea in the late 1800s. She described Lemuria as home to an ancient race of Lemurians, giant, spiritually evolved beings who lived millions of years ago. Later theosophists like W. Scott Elliott and Annie Besant detailed a fantastical Lemurian civilization complete with telepathy, spiritual wisdom, and the decline into materialism echoing Atlantis. Lemuria was said to have sunk beneath the Indian Ocean in a series of cataclysms. Mount Shasta and the Lemurian legacy. In the 20th century, Lemuria re-emerged in American spiritual folklore. Mount Shasta in California became associated with surviving Lemurians, thanks to writers like Frederick Spencer Oliver. Stories claim that white-robed, long-haired Lemurian beings lived in underground cities beneath the mountain, occasionally emerging to share wisdom. Lemuria lives on in New Age teachings, UFO theories, and channeled spiritual messages. Though thoroughly debunked scientifically, its mythical legacy continues to thrive. Forgotten realms, myths from east and north. Beyond Atlantis and Lemuria lie dozens of lesser-known, but equally fascinating mythical lands. These places have emerged from spiritual traditions, ancient texts, and folklore across continents. Mu, the Pacific Atlantis. First proposed by Augustus Luplongeon, Mu was supposedly a lost continent in the Pacific Ocean, home to a highly advanced civilization. He claimed the Maya of Central America were descendants of Mu, linking Mesoamerican and Asian cultures. Later, British writer James Churchward expanded the idea, publishing books about Mu in the early 20th century. He described it as a paradise destroyed in a great cataclysm. Though completely unsupported by geology, Mu remains a favorite among alternative historians. Shambhala, the hidden kingdom of enlightenment. In Tibetan Buddhist mythology, Shambhala is a hidden kingdom in Central Asia, often equated with spiritual purity and wisdom. It's said to be ruled by enlightened beings and will one day reappear to bring balance to the world. Unlike Atlantis or Lemuria, Shambhala is more symbolic than physical, representing an inner state of enlightenment. However, expeditions have searched for it in the Himalayas, and it's often linked to concepts like the Hollow Earth or the Agartha Network. Hyperborea, the Arctic utopia. From ancient Greek writings comes Hyperborea, a mythical land beyond the north wind. It was said to be a place of eternal spring, inhabited by peaceful people who lived for 1,000 years. The Greeks saw it as a land of divine favor, untouched by war or disease. In modern esoteric and fringe circles, Hyperborea has taken on strange new meanings, sometimes twisted by racist ideologies into a lost Aryan homeland. It's a reminder that myths can be misused just as easily as they can inspire. Why do we believe in lost worlds? The appeal of lost worlds taps into something primal. They offer hope and nostalgia. Atlantis and Lemuria are often seen as utopias, places of harmony, wisdom, and peace. Everything our modern world lacks. Mystery and wonder. These myths provide a sense of mystery that encourages exploration, both outward and inward. Connection to the past. Lost worlds offer the idea that ancient people were not primitive, but spiritually or technologically advanced in ways we don't understand. Spiritual allegory. For many, these realms represent inner journeys or hidden truths, more metaphorical than literal. Psychologically, they may reflect our longing for paradise lost, for a time when humanity was whole, wise, and in tune with nature and the cosmos. The dangers of pseudo-history. While entertaining and inspirational, these myths can also be misused. Some pseudo-historians have used Atlantis and Lemuria to argue for cultural diffusion in ways that erase indigenous histories. Others have incorporated these myths into racial hierarchies, claiming certain groups descend from superior lost civilizations. Fringe theories have been promoted without evidence, confusing audiences about the difference between myth, metaphor, and fact. It's important to approach these stories with curiosity, but also critical thinking. Myths that echo across time. From the sunken temples of Atlantis to the vanished continent of Lemuria and the hidden peaks of Shambhala, the idea of lost mythical worlds continues to resonate. They exist not just on old maps or in esoteric books, but in our collective imagination. They speak to ancient fears, spiritual longing, and the eternal hope that beyond the known world lies something greater, something we've forgotten, but might one day remember. Whether real, symbolic, or something in between, these worlds challenge us to ask bigger questions. What is truth? What is myth? And what lies just beyond the horizon of memory? Sources and references for deeper exploration. Plato's Timaeus and Critias. Helena Blavatsky, The Secret Doctrine. James Churchward, The Lost Continent of Mu. Tibetan Buddhist Texts on Shambhala. Graham Hancock, Fingerprints of the Gods, for Speculative History. L. Sprague de Camp, Lost Continents, Rational Analysis of the Myths. Beyond the Borders of Known Lands. Across Cultures, tales have persisted of hidden kingdoms, lost lands, and forgotten realms that lie beyond the known world, just over the mountains, beyond the sea, or concealed in mystical fog. These mythical places weren't just backdrops for storytelling. They often reflected a civilization's hopes, fears, spiritual ideals, and cultural identities. While the West has long been fascinated by Atlantis and Lemuria, the Eastern and Northern traditions have birthed equally compelling realms, some serene and divine, others dangerous and mysterious. In this exploration, we uncover legendary realms like Shambhala, Agartha, Xanadu, Hyperborea, and Thule. These places, though rarely mapped on modern atlases, have shaped mythologies, inspired quests, and ignited spiritual imagination for centuries. 1. Shambhala, the Enlightened Kingdom of the East. Origins and Symbolism. The legend of Shambhala comes from Tibetan Buddhism, with mentions in the Kalachakra Tantra, a text dating back to around the 10th century CE. According to this tradition, Shambhala is a hidden land located somewhere beyond the Himalayas, often described as a pure land where the people are enlightened, the rulers are just, and spiritual wisdom is at its peak. Shambhala is not a heaven, but a real place that exists on earth, just beyond our reach. Its people are believed to live in peace and prosperity, having mastered the Kalachakra, Wheel of Time, teachings. It is also prophesied that one day, when the world descends into chaos, the final king of Shambhala, Rudrakakran, will emerge with a powerful army to defeat ignorance and restore balance. Esoteric and Western interpretations. Western occultists and theosophists in the late 19th and early 20th centuries became fascinated with Shambhala. Helena Blavatsky, founder of the Theosophical Society, saw it as a spiritual center, home to hidden masters guiding human evolution. Later, Nicholas and Helena Rurik, Russian mystics and explorers, traveled through Central Asia searching for the hidden kingdom, recording visions and prophecies connected to it. In New Age thought, Shambhala often symbolizes a state of consciousness, an inner realm of peace that exists within each individual, waiting to be awakened. 2. Agartha. Agartha, the Hollow Earth Kingdom. The myth of the inner earth. Agartha, also spelled Agartha, is another Eastern esoteric myth that evolved through a mix of Hindu, Buddhist, and Western occult traditions. Unlike Shambhala, Agartha is described as a vast underground kingdom located deep within the earth, connected by tunnels that span continents. The legend claims that advanced beings, either ancient humans, gods, or extraterrestrial entities, retreated into the hollow earth during cataclysms on the surface. Here, they created a utopian civilization powered by spiritual and technological mastery, far beyond what we know. Theosophy and hollow earth theory. The idea of Agartha gained popularity through the writings of Alexander Saint-Yves d'Alvedre in the 19th century, who claimed to have received telepathic communication from its inhabitants. According to him, Agartha was ruled by a sacred priest-king and operated on universal laws of harmony. The hollow earth theory, an idea that the earth is not solid but contains vast interior worlds, fueled Agartha's mythos. Writers like Ferdinand Ossendowski and Raymond W. Bernard built upon the story, claiming survivors from Atlantis or Lemuria had taken refuge there. Some versions place Shambhala as the capital of Agartha, merging both legends into a grand, unseen spiritual empire. 3. Xanadu, the pleasure dome of the East. Historical origins. Xanadu was the summer capital of Kublai Khan, grandson of Genghis Khan, located in what is now Inner Mongolia, China. The city's official name was Xanadu, and it was a real place, constructed in the 13th century as a palace city blending Chinese, Mongol, and Tibetan influences. But Xanadu became mythical thanks to Marco Polo, who described it in glowing terms, and more famously, through Samuel Taylor Coleridge's 1797 poem Kubla Khan, where he described it as a stately pleasure dome where Alf, the sacred river, ran, through caverns measureless to man, down to a sunless sea. Symbolism and cultural impact. In Western imagination, Xanadu transformed into a symbol of exotic luxury, lost beauty, and imperial grandeur. It's a land of artistic wonder, spiritual mystery, and unattainable perfection. Coleridge's vision, blending history with dreamlike imagery, helped seal Xanadu's place in Western myth-making. It remains a reference point in pop culture, notably in films, music, and even the naming of Citizen Kane's fictional estate. 4. Hyperborea, the frozen utopia of the North. Greek roots of the myth. Hyperborea means beyond Boreas, the north wind, in Greek mythology. It was believed to be a land located in the far north, where the sun shined 24 hours a day, a reference to the Arctic's midnight sun. Hyperborea was described as a land of eternal spring, where people lived long, peaceful lives, free of disease and war. The Hyperboreans worshipped Apollo, and every year, swans would deliver sacred offerings from their land to his temple in Delphi. According to ancient texts, no one could travel there by ordinary means. It was a paradise hidden beyond the realm of mortals. Mystical and political appropriations. Later occult and esoteric traditions interpreted Hyperborea as the original homeland of an ancient, pure race. Madame Blavatsky referenced it in her Theosophical Racial Theory, placing Hyperboreans as one of the root races of human spiritual evolution. Unfortunately, Hyperborea's imagery was co-opted by Nazi occult ideologies, where it was twisted into a myth of Aryan superiority. Despite this dark misuse, many today reinterpret Hyperborea as a symbol of spiritual light and ancestral memory. 5. Thule, the land at the edge of the world. Thule in ancient geography. Thule, sometimes pronounced Thule, was first mentioned by the Greek geographer Pytheas in the 4th century BCE. He claimed to have traveled to a land north of Britain, where the sun never set during the summer and never rose during the winter, likely a reference to Iceland or Norway. For centuries, Thule became shorthand for the farthest, most mysterious place imaginable, the edge of the world. Romans, Greeks, and later medieval scholars used it to refer to the unknown, the unattainable, and the otherworldly. Occult and modern associations. In the 20th century, Thule became central to certain fringe ideologies. The Thule Society was a German occult group tied to nationalist movements, and indirectly connected to early Nazi ideology. They believed Thule was the ancestral home of a master race and a source of hidden knowledge. More broadly, Thule symbolizes the northern axis mundi, the spiritual pole of the world, echoing beliefs in polar mysticism and a golden age before history. It is often linked with Hyperborea in esoteric writings. 6. Jambudvipa, the cosmological center in Indian mythology. Cosmic geography. In Hindu, Jain, and Buddhist cosmology, the universe is divided into dvipas, islands or continents. The central landmass is Jambudvipa, surrounded by concentric oceans and continents. Jambudvipa is often equated with the known Earth, specifically the Indian subcontinent. It is the place where humans reside, where karma plays out, and where spiritual progress is possible. Around it are other mystical lands like Uttarakuru, a northern paradise, and Kutumala, located to the west. Spiritual significance. Jambudvipa represents the cosmic middle, the balanced realm where both suffering and enlightenment coexist. Unlike Western lost realms that are often utopian or fallen, Jambudvipa exists as the dynamic arena of spiritual struggle and growth. Its surrounding realms suggest layers of existence, unseen dimensions, and a vast universe shaped by metaphysical laws. The echoes of forgotten realms. From the serene enlightenment of Shambhala to the icy utopia of Hyperborea, the forgotten realms of the East and North are more than myths. They are mirrors of the human soul. These places capture our longing for perfection, our belief in secret wisdom, and our yearning to reconnect with lost truths. They also reflect how myth can be misused, twisted by politics, ideology, or false science, but also reclaimed, reinterpreted as symbols of inner awakening and cultural memory. In a world where the map seems fully drawn, these myths remind us there is always more to discover, within history, within nature, and within ourselves. The realms may be forgotten, but their stories endure, waiting to be remembered, retold, and reimagined. Sources and further reading. The Kalachakra Tantra, Tibetan Buddhist text. Helena Blavatsky, The Secret Doctrine. Nicholas Rurik, Shambhala, In Search of the New Era. Pythias and Strabo's Accounts of Thule. Samuel Taylor Coleridge, Kubla. James Hilton, Lost Horizon, For Parallels with Shangri-La. Alexander Saint-Yves d'Alvedra, Mission to El End. L. Sprague de Camp, Lost Continents. Thanks for joining us on this journey through the lost mythical worlds of Atlantis, Lemuria, and other forgotten realms. Whether these places were real or symbolic, they continue to spark imagination and wonder across generations. If you enjoyed diving into ancient mysteries and hidden histories, be sure to like, subscribe, and hit the bell for more deep explorations into mythology, legend, and the unknown. What do you believe? Are these worlds lost facts or timeless fables? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Until next time, keep seeking, keep questioning, and never stop exploring the myths that shaped our world.